is due to Allah. Why did they crucify our Lord? The song says, were you there when they crucified our Lord? Yeah, you were there. We were always there. As I said the last time, how is it that a man who did so much for his people, this Jesus figure who healed the blind, gave the blind sight, healed the man of epileptic seizures, he made the lame walk, he made the deaf hear, he made the dumb speak, he exorcised demons out of those that were possessed. But when it came time for his trial and his crucifixion, where was the blind man that had been given his sight by a good man? Where was the deaf man? Where was the dumb man? Where was the man who was lame? Where was the leopard? Where was Lazarus? It's a heck of a question. You've been blind all your life. A man come and put some spittle on your eye. Helps you to see. But when it came time and down for his trial, none of those that had benefited from his healing appeared to have shown up. Not even his disciples. You would think that at least Lazarus, who was dead, who had cloth over his eyes, hands and feet bound, would have been able to come forward and say, look, what are you doing to this man? I was dead and I am now alive. But the people watched in suspense. Boy, this is some drama. Well, let me not get ahead of myself. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in that newspaper wrote that the United States government has applied the principle of smiting the shepherd and scattering the sheep most effectively where black leadership and black organizations are concerned. Seemingly, an unwritten law forbids the development of proper leadership among us. By proper, we mean leadership that is suited to the needs and the requirements of the time. Proper leadership has to be concerned with the organization of people and money for the effective removal of the obstacles which are in the path of liberating our people. It is precisely this desire and plan to organize black people to make positive steps towards our own advancement that brings down upon black leaders the wrath of the United States government. I was recently warned, this was 31 years ago, by a brother who worked for police intelligence, that as long, listen to this, as I wanted to raise the level of consciousness among black people, the government would not necessarily oppose me. But the one thing the government is totally opposed to is the organization of people and money to remove the obstacles that are in the path of our advancement. How in the hell could we, could we be the 18th richest nation on earth with $750 billion coming in, and we don't hardly own nothing? It almost makes me sick that we, as parents, though we have a right to demand better from our government that we pay taxes to for quality education. But at the end of the day, are we still gonna beg white folks to teach our children when you see the crap that they are feeding our children and what is happening in these so-called institutions of learning? If we were not wasteful spenders, reckless, careless spenders, spending tens and millions of dollars every year on drugs and alcohol and tobacco, we have enough money among ourselves to do whatever is required to secure a better future for ourselves. Black people are supposedly guaranteed freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of assembly, and freedom of the press. Yet, if our leaders seek to exercise these freedoms for the purpose of maximizing our strengths to enable us to deal effectively with an unjust system, then the very government that is sworn to uphold the Constitution, which embodies these guarantees, marshals its forces to eliminate our leaders, scatter their followers, and destroy their organizations. Now, look at this. Crucifixion was used by the Romans and the Persians, the Greeks, the Macedonians. It was reserved for slaves, rebels, pirates, and especially despised enemies and criminals. Crucifixion was considered a most shameful and disgraceful way to die. They would take the person, quoting from the minister, strip him of his clothes, make him carry his cross to the place of crucifixion, but it's all public. Everything is done in the public to bring about your shame, your disgrace. Strip you of your clothing, then they nailed your hands and your feet. None of your vital organs are touched, so that you could hang there for hours and for days, defecate on yourself, urinate on yourself. And some they would spear in the side. But Jesus, they had something special for him. According to the book, since he was supposed to be the king of the Jews, they made a crown of thorns for him and put it on his head. They nailed his hands, they nailed his feet, they pierced him in his side, and they let him hang there. People spat on him. They leave you in the public, and those that pass by would throw things at the crucified one. Because once you are crucified, it is like you deserve that punishment. So the people are not asking for you to come down. They're actually happy to see you on that cross. Isn't that something? Now, I want to take what the minister has given to us in breaking down this crucifixion and this cruel form of capital punishment, and the fact that the victims' hands would be nailed and their feet nailed or with ropes binding them at the torso or shoulders to a wooden frame, were held immobile, unable to cope with heat, cold, or insects. Death came slowly, often after many days, as a result of fatigue, cramped muscles, hunger, and thirst. And then when the victims were taken down from the cross, their legs were broken to ensure that they would not escape. This form of punishment was used to make examples of the Jews and to serve as a warning to potential offenders. It served as a public reminder of the Jews' servitude to an alien power and was used especially in Palestine as a punishment for robbery, sedition, tumult, and riot. The stripping of the clothes, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, represents the showing of the man's private and personal life. Our enemy knows that no one gets through this life without committing some sin. So it is written in the scriptures that they watch the steps of the righteous, or those who seek justice for us, to use that which appears to be error or mistake to bring that leader or person to naught. What they find, they add to it, that the leader might be brought to disgrace and ruin. Now, maybe it's just me, but in recent days, just looking at some of our athletes, Tiger Woods committed several indiscretions, probably more than, the normal. Generally, when one is committing adultery, maybe one girl on the side, right, brothers? But Tiger had a few, had several, according to the reports. But some of them you have to question because they just want a minute of fame. But how the media plays it up, I just don't believe, those of you who follow golf, if it was Phil Mickelson, if it was, oh man, all the names don't come to mind. I just follow Tiger. But they would say it like the swimmer, the gold medalist. What was his name? Michael Phelps. Okay, he was taking a few drags. They played it up, but it disappears quickly